now that we kind of understand what kind of data we have here, and so we can then move on to figuring out file size. And this is really a key file for making several decisions about data management. First off is looking at it by file size and by capacity. So this is giving you information about the different files and the capacity that are out there. And lo and behold, large files consume most of the capacity. So that makes common sense, right? Where does this come into value in terms of data management and planning? Well, it comes into play if you're looking at doing maybe tiering. Where can I get my biggest return on freeing space on my on-prem NAS system by moving data off to the cloud for lower cost storage, for example? And you'll see the biggest bang for the buck in this case is going to be files that are probably 10 megabyte or larger in size. So as we're doing tiering, this is probably where we'd want to start. And then we can also see, is it 3-year files that are going to give us a big return? Is it, greater than 2 years or greater than 1 year? We can see a bit about that in the information, but here's where we can start to make some decisions about that. But another great use of this very same graph is to switch it from size to file count. And so now you see we've changed down here from capacities to numbers of files. And lo and behold, as you would expect, small files, there's more small files than there are large files. Now, when it comes to tiering, I could tier all these small files, but I'm not going to get that capacity return for all the work and administration of going through all that. It's like trying to count up your pennies. You need them to get $1 million, but counting it penny by penny is going to take forever. And so where these small files really come into play is when you're starting to make some decisions about moving data I want to move off. So these may not be really great candidates, and we're not going to see a lot of benefits from tiering them. But when it comes to migrations, if these bottom rows here, say, the 10 KB or smaller, are really your longest bars over to the right, that means you have tons of tiny files out there. And we'll want to have a conversation before we start moving data with our end customers about movement rates and movement times and things. So we're setting the right expectations. And that's the big thing about migrations. Once you start moving data for those sorts of things, the inspection's on, the heat's on, and everybody's watching and wanting to know when it's going to be done. So it's better to have a conversation up front about the fact that very small files can be very chatty, can take a while to move over. That's probably the worst case scenario for migrations. So good to know about that before you get into the migration rather than finding out afterwards. So again, you can leverage these graphs in several different ways to leverage great conversations, or maybe we've noticed that video files is our biggest one. So let's go back to size here and let's see who's using the most of those. Well, A best here. Let's go talk to Albert about why he has so many video files on his system. Maybe he's over in engineering and they really shouldn't have video files, so maybe he's got his whole DVD collection out there that is stored on the system. Or maybe he is in manufacturing and he has all those cameras, from the manufacturing line as product has gone through that he needs to store. But the question might be, how long? That kind of data ages very quickly, and we can probably move it off after a few days to give it that long-term storage and stuff. So here's where we can start to identify key people and key groups to go and have conversations about storage management. And you're armed with information before talking to them about the kind of data they have, the ages of their data, the amounts of data, numbers of files, and things like that. So rather than just saying, hey, could you free space? You could say, hey, I see you've got 23 terabytes older than 3 years of video data. How is this really helping our business, and how are we looking to move forward? So this information itself can be really helpful in structuring a conversation and looking at data management and things.